Building your Konnect conservatory in 5 easy steps. The Konnect system from Trade Price Conservatories comes pre-glazed, making it the simplest to install conservatory system on the market. Please ensure you follow all relevant health and safety guidelines when installing your conservatory and use PPE as appropriate. We advise you wear gloves when handling aluminium, safety goggles when drilling, and a hard hat when working at height or when elements of the conservatory will be above shoulder height. The basic tools required are plastic or rubber mallet, spanner or socket, big screwdriver, tape measure, G-clamps, snips, 6.5mm masonry drill bit and a 4mm metal drill bit, 5mm Allen key, T30 Torx drive, drill driver, silicone gun, spirit level. Please refer to the installation guide for the full list of tools that you'll need. Step 1. Preparation and fitting the sill. Visually check that all the components are present against the delivery note provided. Measure the dwarf wall or base to ensure it is the correct size. Measure the width, front and rear, the projection, and finally measure the diagonals to confirm the base is square. Please note the diagonal measurements should be identical. Also, measure any door openings, wall returns and the height of the dwarf wall. Fitting the sill. Please note the sill is not fixed in place. Measure 100mm from the front face of the brickwork and mark a vertical plumb line. This will give you the position for the side windows. Place the back of the first length of sill to the pencil line. Step 2. Fitting the frames. Konnect windows are fitted in order. Starting with window 1, twist fit the fitting cleats on the side that will be fitted against the house wall. These should point inside the conservatory. Start with cleats 150mm from the window ends and at intervals of no more than 400mm apart. If fitted, remove the plastic transport blocks at the bottom of the window frames prior to fitting. Remember to leave the Konnect sill connectors in place. Lift the window onto the sill near its final position. Gently rock the window back and forth until the Konnect sill connector clicks into place in the sill channel. You can now slide the window into its final position against the house wall. Drill pilot holes through the fixing cleats into the house wall and fit back to the house wall with the supplied masonry fixings. Repeat for the other fixing cleats. If the back wall is not being plastered, the fixing cleats can be snapped off as shown and cloaked over later using a suitable plastic trim. Offer the second frame into position and rock into place as per the first window. Slide the second window up to the first frame until there is roughly a 20mm gap between the two frames. Slide the aluminium inline connector between the two frames, tapping it level using a plastic mallet. Repeat for the other frames along the side wall. Slide the sill corner joint into place. Offer up the return sill and slide into place to create the sill corner. Clip the return window into the sill and slide until the two windows touch at the corner. Slide the aluminium corner post into place until it meets the sill, tapping it level with the plastic mallet as before. Please note the return windows will not meet the end of the sill, as room is left for the inline connector that secures the doors in position. Repeat for the windows on the opposite side of your Konnect conservatory. Place the door sill in line with the window sill as shown, 100mm back from the front face of the brickwork. Drill 6.5mm pilot holes and fix in place using the supplied masonry fixings. Secure 150mm from each end of the sill and at intervals no more than 400mm. If door sashes are supplied in their frame, remove them from the door frame by simply opening the doors and sliding upwards. Clip the door frame into place using the same method as the windows, rocking back and forth until the Konnect sill connector engages. Fit the inline connectors from above as before. Drill 6.5mm pilot holes through the door frame and into the dwarf wall, fixing into place with the supplied masonry fixings. Use 2 fixings on each side, spaced as shown. Step 3. Fitting the roof, the gutter and the trims. The first job is to fit the eaves beam. Lay the eaves beam on the sill and mark 150mm from the eaves beam ends and 150mm from where the windows meet as shown. Using the marks, drill 4mm pilot holes through the eaves beam. This is where you will fix the eaves beam down to the window frames. Repeat on the other sides of the conservatory. Using one of the supplied window handles, open any window sashes to enable you to clamp the eaves beam in place. Carefully place the eaves beam, making sure the back leg sits against the window frames on the inside of the conservatory. Clamp the eaves beams in position through the open sashes, making sure they meet at the corners. When sighted correctly, use the eaves beam external connector to screw the eaves beams together. Then, secure using the internal fixing connector as shown. Please note, your Konnect conservatory roof comes with all the required fixings shown in this guide. Repeat on the opposite corner. Using your pre-drilled holes, fix the eaves beam in place using the supplied 35mm self-driving screws. Insert the rafter support keys, shown here, into the ends of the PVC support sections, located at the top of the eaves beam. These can be slid along their track as needed to fit the rafter bars. The supplied roof diagram will show you which numbered rafter bar fits each position on the roof. Next, fit the rafter bar end caps in place. Please note that the different types of rafter bar have different end caps. Make sure you fit the end caps to the right end of the bars. The fixing bolt should be roughly 100mm from the end that needs the rafter end cap. Push fit the caps and fix with the supplied screws. Then, using snips, trim off the screw cap cover. Finally, cover the screw with either the covers you have just trimmed off or the alternative supplied. Now, place the rafter bars in place for ease of fitting. Offer the hip rafter into position and locate in place using the fixing bolt. Fix in place by tightening the nut. Next, fit the jack rafters in place. These will support the hip rafters. Using a large screwdriver, carefully ease the locating spring on the hip rafter onto the clip on the side of the jack rafter. Then, repeat on the other side. It's now time to fit the ridge. At this stage of fitting, the ridge will need supporting at the house wall end. We suggest using a ladder as an extra pair of helping hands. To hold the hip rafter spacers in place, silicone them onto the ridge end. Carefully offer up the ridge into position and bolt the hip rafters into place. The other rafters can now be fitted. Make sure the bolts are nice and tight using a spanner or socket. Check the ridge is level and make any necessary adjustments before fixing the wall rafters in place using the supplied masonry fixings. Place the first fixing roughly 150 mm from the top of the wall rafter, one in the middle and one roughly 150 mm from the eaves beam. Tap the gutter brackets in place on the eaves beam on all three sides of the conservatory, locating the gutter brackets at equal distances along each side. Hinge the gutter in place so that the gutter brackets are concealed within the gutter. Fit the corners as required. Now, remove the protective tape from the top of the window frames. Next, fit the frame gutter clad. Tap this into place at the top of the windows to cloak under the gutter. Remove the rest of the protective window tape. Using a 5mm Allen key and Konnect button, you will now fit the covers between the windows. Twist the Konnect buttons 90 degrees into place on each inline window connector. You should hear them click into place. Fit 4 per window, 150mm from the top and bottom, and at intervals of no more than 400mm. Repeat on the inside of the window frames. Now, on the outside only, gently tap the inline jointing trim into place. Fit the corner post cladding, which clips into place as shown, and tap into position with a rubber mallet. Remove the protective tape and fit the corner gutter trim as shown. Next, peel back a little way the protective film from the adhesive tape on the PVCU glazing support trim located at the top of the eaves beam. Leave this tucked behind the eaves trim. Fit the polycarb end trims, making sure the breather holes, shown here, will face downwards. These simply slide into place. Remember to make sure the holes are on the underside. Check the roof plan for each polycarb location. Peel off the protective film, then fit them in place. Locate at the ridge end and push into place. Repeat for the other panels. Please note, the middle panel is left open for access. Fit the hip top cap in place and tap into position with a rubber mallet. slide the numbered top caps into position so they are a snug fit to the rafter end caps. Repeat on all the rafters, apart from those to either side of the panel left open for access. Using the access panel, tap the top of the rafter cappings in place. Apply a neat silicone seal round the jack rafters where they meet the hip rafters. Now it's time to fit the ridge end foam bungs. These push into place around the ridge end. Generously seal around all the joints at the ridge end using silicone sealant. Please note that as our installation was in a studio setting, we didn't apply silicone, but please follow the guide on screen as to the areas you need to cover. Silicone the wall end of the ridge cover and slide the ridge flashing trim in place. Apply more silicone to the channel to ensure a perfect seal. Now, drill pilot holes through the ridge flashing trim and ridge cover, and secure using the supplied plastic rivets. Slide the ridge cresting into place and wipe off any excess silicone. Trim off excess plastic to the underside of the ridge top cap as shown. Now, silicone the finial end of the ridge cover and slide fit the ridge top cap before siliconing the joint as shown. Drill and fit the plastic rivets to secure the ridge top cap in the same way as for the wall end of the ridge cover. Wipe off excess silicone as before. Slide the final section of cresting in place and silicone the end of the joint. Finally, screw the finial in place. To fit the ridge cover, locate along the aluminium ridge at the house wall end. Tap to fix into place using a plastic or rubber mallet. Silicone seal the rafter joints as they meet the ridge top cap. Now, fit the last polycarb panel in place. Fit the remaining two rafter top caps. Gently bow them into position. Now, from inside of the conservatory, remove the protective film from the adhesive tape that you peeled back earlier. From outside the conservatory, firmly press down on each polycarb panel to ensure a seal against the glazing support trim. Step 4. Fitting the inner trims. These ridge channels enable you to run electric cables or hang a light fitting from the ridge. These simply tap in place. Place two channels together where you want to put a light fitting. When positioned, screw them in place using the supplied screws. Fit the ridge capping by simply tapping into place. We suggest fitting this component after installing all the necessary wiring. Alternatively, make a note of where the support channels are before fitting the capping. Now, push fit the radius end bottom cap in place. Ensure you use the correct fixing lugs, which will vary by roof type. The eaves-clad corner joints insert as shown. ready for you to clad the eaves beam. This simply taps into place. Slide the next sections into place to complete the eaves beam cladding. Fit the inline jointing trims to the inside of the conservatory, trimming as required. The window handles can now be fitted. With the sash in the unlocked position, simply screw the handles in place and fit the screw cover caps. Step 5. Fitting the doors and sealing the conservatory. The door sashes simply slide down into place. Locate all the hinges in line and lower into position. There should be no need to adjust the doors, but if required, the Konnect system door hinge has a wide range of adjustment in 3 directions, ensuring perfectly operating doors. Simply use an Allen key to adjust. Remove the tape from the doors. Finally, silicone down the door frame, under the sill and down the side of the window frames as they meet the house walls. Now, stand back and enjoy the Konnect conservatory that you've just built. The Konnect system from Trade Price Conservatories, the simplest to install conservatory system on the market.